going to be doing a review of my Demko AD15 custom, and I want to give a special thank you to 5 Hour Energy. I figured I'd do this review a little differently than I've done in the past. I'm going to touch up my edge a little bit, and I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride. Some people have said they wanted to see it, and I know I'm opening a bit of a can of worms with that, but, well, again, not the most intelligent critter you'll ever meet, so why not? Okay, so we've got our knife mounted into the jaws, and before we do anything, we're going to follow what KME recommends. We're going to put a little drop of gun oil on both these little lugs behind here. Supposedly it helps it not wear near as badly. So locked in, we're going to start off with a 9 micron lapping film. It's roughly 1800 grit. And what these are, this is a block of glass that has a lapping film adhered to it, and you get more lapping films when you wear it out. Put it on the carrier, lock it down. Now, I know this knife has a bevel set at 20 degrees. So we're going to put our gauge on and see where we're at. We should be right about there. Boy, that doesn't happen very often. Okay, so this is basically set up perfect from the last time I used it. So we're good to go. Gonna add a little bit of honing oil. Because
I'll get the lubricant.
There's no time for lubricant.
There's always time for lubricant!
sorry, I had to. We're only gonna use this stone film for a few passes because the knife really doesn't need anything quite this coarse. It's really not dull. It gets used a lot, but we're just kind of giving it a few passes to get it going here. So, what are my thoughts on this knife? Well, is it kind of the talk of the town on the knife forums and the knife guy channels that it's a really cool knife, but it's too big, it's too heavy, the blade's too big, it's too wide. Oh, it's on Teflon washers. Oh God, oh, the world's gonna come to an end. Yeah, so I've heard all that, and I still was intrigued enough by this knife to try to search one out. And when I did, I got very sad because I saw the prices they were going for and how fun it was to try to find one. So I actually put a call into Demko Knives, and I think I got an email back from John Demko within a few minutes. And he was really great to work with. I never did speak with Andrew, so I can't say anything. He was probably busy with Cold Steel, making some videos of his knives beating up other people's knives and their lock laughing at other locks and taking lunch money and, you know, all the things glorious that goes on there. So I worked with John, and the guy just bent over backwards and what can I do? What do you want? Tell me exactly what it is you would have on a knife. And I kind of fell into this one. And it's honestly exactly how I want it to be. The blade is 20 CV. The cutting edge is right about 3.5 inches. So that makes it interesting for some of y'all that live in states that, you know, knives are evil. That's going to kind of limit this one out for you. The scales are custom sculpted by, I believe it was John that did it. And they're G10. I love them. I love the way they feel in hand. The lock bar is blue titanium. I really kind of debated like that really sexy, beautiful Timascus stuff, but honestly, it's kind of loud for me, so I didn't end up going with it. The liners, I believe, are titanium. I could be mistaken, but I do believe they are. And the pocket clip is a titanium spoon that is reversible. So, knowing what I know now, living with it for 2 years, would I buy it again? Absolutely, without hesitation. Are there any things I don't like about it? I wouldn't say so. The only thing you've got to be careful of when you first get it, the scorpion lock takes a minute to get used to. How it works is you push this titanium lock bar up. This is a pin that goes straight through. I believe that's steel. And there's a notch in the blade. That pin and notch capture. And then the harder you grip, the harder it is set into place. It's a really cool lock, but it also makes a glorious guillotine. And you can see here, there's enough space to put my tactical pointer through. So when you're first using it, you're not paying the utmost attention. You can see I'm putting my finger through here a good deal. If you grab it incorrectly and you go to close it and just shut it the cool guy way and drop shut it, it's a very effective guillotine, and it will cut your finger really quickly, especially if you're a moron that has to have things extremely sharp like I am. Is that a negative? Well, I guess it depends upon your level of intelligence and excitement when you're using it. I learned pretty quick with the Band-Aid on my finger, okay, don't be an idiot. So I can't really say it's a negative, but it's definitely something to look out for. We're moving on to a 6 micron, roughly 3,000 grit. How is it to carry? Well, I think that's something everybody has to make up for their own self. I don't believe it's too heavy. I don't believe it's too big. But I'm also the guy that carries a full-size 1911 steel frame and a couple of additional magazines and a flashlight and this knife and a full-size Leatherman Surge. So what's your definition of too big? I understand how a lot of people, the rage nowadays is, I've got a gun that can fit inside of a box of matches. I've got a knife that's tiny, okay? And in some states, I get it. You know, you've got to do that. Me personally, no. It just doesn't do anything for me. Our equipment that we choose to carry daily has to be functional, absolutely. But it also has to strike a nerve. It has to make us happy somehow or another. And on a side note, when you're using these, it is very important you only go down and you just use the pressure of the weight of the carrier. I'm not pushing down at all. This is just riding on it, polishing the blade. That's it. There is no pressure being added here whatsoever. Anyway, back to my rant. If you like it enough, you make it work. And that's where I'm at with it. Is any of my equipment overly comfortable? Well, not really, no. But it's comforting. And it makes me happy. And I think that is what we all have to pay attention to. If you've got a knife or a gun or whatever that you really have no real attachment to, chances are it's going to sit at home. Because you've compromised, and it's okay. It's just okay. It doesn't really do anything for you. This is just, again, rubbing alcohol. Doesn't really do anything for you. It's a tool. You've got it. It works. But you've got no attachment to it. The things I have, I actually have an attachment to them. I enjoy them. I really... Every time I pull this knife out to use it, it makes me happy. I stop and look at it and it's like, oh man, that's gorgeous. I own that. That's mine. Now, you feel the same way about... Let's see, what do I have here? This ugly little K-bar. No, probably won't end up wanting to brag on that to anybody. It's just not that kind of knife, you know, or this little lockback. Will it work? Will it cut something? Well, sure, but does it get you worked up going, man, that's so cool, I own this, I can't believe it? Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe somebody. I don't know. There's probably somebody out there bragging about their really awesome Prius. You know, I wouldn't, but to each their own. This film is pretty much getting to the end of its lifespan. You can see it's kind of discoloring, and we're getting some wear on it. So what other knives have I had on this endless search of mine that I have tried to find my ultimate carry knife? Well, I've had a few different hinderers, which left me feeling very disappointed, unfortunately. And I'm sure that's going to anger some people. I just couldn't, for the money, I didn't see, I mean, yeah, it's all made here in the States. That's huge to me. It's all hand done, great. I just didn't do anything for me, and one of them was pretty customed out. It just didn't tickle me, and I guess that's a big part of it. I've had some Striders, which I'm conflicted on the Strider because I liked it, but I hated the handle. The grip just did not fit my hand right, and I just didn't. I loved it in theory. I loved it on paper. I didn't like it in my hand. So, unfortunately, that one went away too. And I really, really wanted to keep that one. I wanted to love that one, and I didn't. On to 3 micron, which is about 6,000 grit. I've had, oh man, Zero Tolerance, I've had Kershaw, I've had Emerson, I've had, if you can name it, I've probably owned one. And I mean, they were all functional for a time, and I never really had a whole lot of problem. Chris Reeve was nice, but it didn't, again, I think a bit of it was on the hinderer thing. A bit of it was my fault. I expected a bit more of it than I should have, and I had it built up in my head to be a bit nicer knife than it could have been in reality. And it just didn't live up to the hype that I had put onto it. So, not the knife's fault by any means, my fault. The Reeve, I'm still conflicted on. It was a really nice knife. It was a really slim, easy to live with knife. I liked the S35VN on it. I think their heat treat was really good. It took an edge. It held an edge. I just couldn't... When I looked at the price of it, I was kind of like, am I getting that out of it? And I honestly can say I don't think that I did. So do I get the price out of this one? I don't know if anybody can get the price out of this one, but it makes up for it in the fact that I like it as much as I do. So am I saying you should go out and buy one of these? Well, if you have the means, absolutely. If it fits what you want it to be. It's kind of like saying, is a 1911 for everybody? No, it's not, absolutely. It's kind of like owning a classic car. It's going to give you some headaches every now and again. It's going to be expensive to maintain. It's going to be a bit of a pain, but you love it. And not to say this has been difficult to maintain, but it's certainly an acquired taste to live with because it is pretty big. It's heavy, it's big. But when I need a knife, it is a fantastic one. It cuts really well. Is it the most slicey thing on the planet? Oh, no. No, it's relatively thick blade stock. So, does it cut like a scalpel? No, and it never will, and it never can. That's not what it's for. It's made to be a bit more of a hard use knife. And I've not had a problem with it. I know some of the YouTubers have done like batoning tests, and it's had some lock issues there where the lock will pop open. But you're also not holding the lock, which is how it's meant to be done. So I guess, you know, you can use a screwdriver for a hammer and it's going to work, but eventually it's going to break. And I think people try to get too crazy on things. Do I ever plan on batoning with this knife? No. No, I don't. Could it do it if I needed it to? Probably. But do I foresee a situation where I would need it to? No. No, I do not. All right, we're going to finish off with 1 micron, and that's roughly 16,000 grit. And again, this isn't really sharpening. This is just kind of a little bit of polishing, and I'm walking everybody through my thoughts on this, which have gotten way long and out of control because I'm preoccupied sharpening. How does it hold an edge? Really well. The work they have on the 20CV is gorgeous. I have had no chipping issues. It doesn't even really scratch that bad. And that's saying something because, I mean, this thing is open in cardboard boxes. It's always doing something. Cutting plastic, cutting zip ties. It's not babied. Now, if I've got something really gross and ugly to do I choose the blade on my Leatherman over this? Well, yeah. But that's because I don't feel like going home and cleaning the goo off of this or having to resharpen it for an hour. And I'm going to say I'm done. I think that's definitely more than it needed, but it gives you guys kind of an idea as to just what goes on in routine maintenance. And to see the KME a little bit in action, which I'm told doing that is going to bring out all of the knife experts telling me everything I'm doing is wrong. Thank you, Advanced Knife Bro. But, you know, I guess if they do, they do. And I will have to send him an email and say, yep, you were right. I regret it. But then again, I tend to regret most things that I do in my life. So what else is new? So I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this very long-winded review. And I hope you enjoyed a little knife love. It's not a full, complete, total mare, but she's pretty shiny. Not bad considering the amount of use that it's seen. The obligatory drop shot, yes, it does it. It probably needs a drop or two of oil in there because all the fuzz that collects from being on me. I'm relatively furry. It's just a gorgeous knife, guys. It really is. If you have the opportunity, I really suggest trying to grab one. Thank you. Take care of yourselves and each other.